the grill, she comes alive. A queen of circuits where codes survive. Her crown is light, her throne is steel. In the digital world, she's all that's real.
That was just a clip of the creative project we put together using the new image generation tools in Leonardo AI Ultra. So stick around until the end to see the full AI creative project, Digital Queen by the Real AI Agents. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jessica, and today I'll be taking you to the digital realm where we'll use Leonardo AI to create some ultra cool images. Yeah, you see what I did there. I'll let today's AI agents tell you what we'll cover in this video, and then we'll dive right in together.
First off, we will use the new Phoenix XL generation mode, Ultra, to create some digital queens. We will compare the same prompts generated on Fast, Quality, and Ultra so you know what you are getting for the token cost.
Then we will take an image into the new Ultra Upscaler. You can see for yourself what the difference between the Ultra and Legacy Upscalers is really looking like.
After that, we will create some images using the newer elements in Leonardo AI. See how the new Dreamy Acrylics and Pop Surrealism can be paired with some of our old favorites for unique images.
Next, we will talk about using motion in Leonardo AI and how it compares to promptless generations in Runway Gen-3.
Finally, we hope you will stick around and join us for a few minutes at the end to enjoy our generative AI creative project. Hopefully, you will feel inspired and ready to create for yourself. If you are, be sure you use the link in the description when you sign up for Leonardo AI as a way to help support our channel so we can keep making videos just like this one.
Hit that like button and let's get started.
The first thing we need to do is head over to Leonardo AI so I can show you how we use the generation mode to create images now. So go ahead, and when you come in, you're going to hit Launch App here. And then I'm going to come over to image generation. I can either choose that from here on the toolbar, or I can come right up here to the center. And in order to use the Ultra generation mode setting, you have to be in the preset Phoenix XL. So you need to come up here to the top and change your preset to Leonardo Phoenix. If you're not familiar with Phoenix, that is their foundational model that was released a couple months ago. If you want more information on any of these presets or any of the preset styles, feel free to check out the playlist of Leonardo videos that I've curated and put in the description of this video for you. But in this, we're just going to specifically talk about the Ultra and compare them to the other generations in Phoenix. So I'm not going to go over all of the different presets and styles. But I am going to go ahead and choose dynamic for this one. That's sort of a all-use preset. And I'm going to run the same prompt on the 3 generation modes. So you can see here that I can generate a fast one. It's going to cost me 10 tokens to do that fast generation. And I'm actually going to change the size over here to 4:5 so that we can take a better look at that all next to each other. So for 10 tokens, I can run the fast, and then for the quality, which is the alchemy that we were all used to using in Leonardo, that's going to cost me 15 tokens. So I'll go ahead and do one of those as well. And then you can see the Ultra, the token price jumps up to 30 tokens a piece. So that's a pretty significant increase on doubling from the quality, which was already the most expensive way to generate these images, but we'll go ahead and generate that. So if I were to run all of these together, it's going to be 55 tokens each time I generate a set of images if I use all 3 of these to see. So I've gone ahead and done that for 10 different prompts. So I've got 10 sets of 3 images that we can compare together here. And if you're someone like me who can look at the quality of the images and decide which one might be better for which prompt, if you have a lot of prompting experience and you're very well versed in the AI art systems, you may not need this. But if you're a beginner or you're someone who just wants to be able to use the prompts and see how it looks for themselves, I have put all 10 of the prompts that I'm using into an Airtable here, along with some other additional prompts that I used on the Ultra for Digital Queens that I'm giving you guys so that you can go through and see them all compared to each other after we're done here. And maybe that'll help you save some tokens in the long run so that you understand a little bit better when utilizing the Ultra may be the best option, even though it does cost more tokens to begin with. Okay, so I've gotten all of those generations ready now. So let's go ahead and briefly go through them and see how they look and whether or not the Ultra really made that much of a difference. So here we go on the first prompt. We've got a prompt that we were hoping would create a queen who was standing by her throne with a dress made completely of the code and very intricate circuitry with a neon blue and purple glow to the image. So if we come back and we take a look on the fast, it did a really nice job on her dress. There's a lot of intricate detail on the circuitry here and a lot of the glowing color. I think that actually looks really good for a 10 token generation. There are a couple problems like here on her arm. Not really sure why it added those two. The face is a little bit distorted here on the eye. But all in all, once I upscaled that, look at that image. And then the next one here is the quality. So this is what we have all who have been using Leonardo AI for a while have become accustomed to using. It is the Alchemy version. You do have to have a paid account to use Alchemy and Ultra, just so you know these tools will not be available on the free account. But here, if we look at the quality version, look at this one comparatively, we can tell still, again, some problems with her face. I could probably fix that by adding some more details about her face in the prompt. We can see that I wasn't really specific on what I wanted the actual queen character to look like, more so just giving it the vibe that I wanted her to be a digital queen and more about the look of her overall dress and appearance behind her versus her facial features or her hair color or her skin tone. I didn't add those things into the prompt. So if you're trying to prompt for a specific look, you want to be sure that you're using some of the keywords. If you want to know more about that, now seems like a good time to let you know if you want to learn how to create better prompts in Leonardo AI, we have you covered. You can get a free copy of our ebook, 10 Tips for Ultimate Prompting for Images in Leonardo AI, when you sign up for our email list. The link is in the description. And hey, while you're heading down there anyway, be sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. So now that you know about how to get the free ebook and how to better prompt in Leonardo for yourself, let's take a look at the side-by-side on these images. So we have the fast generation, which costs 10 tokens, the quality generation, which costs 15 tokens, and then the ultra generation, which costs 30 tokens. So looking at these, I definitely think that I prefer the quality image. I like the stance that she's in better. It looks much more natural. Even though the ultra does have a better dress, in my opinion, the way that her arms are being held and just the overall look looks very cold and not really what I was going for in the image. So for me, I think quality wins this first one here. Now, if we look at the second set of images that I created, we'll see that on this one, I really wanted to capture the beauty of the queen of technology with futuristic implants woven in her hair and skin. She sits elegantly on the throne made of pure light in a futuristic high-tech palace illuminated by soft reflections from her metallic gown and surrounded by floating geometric patterns. So if we take a look at what was produced, we've got this first one here on the fast. You can see that there are definitely too many fingers on both hands. And it did add some holographic effect to her skin, but I don't know that I wanted the whole like spinal column rib cage kind of look here. I was more looking for like what it did here on her arms with adding kind of that digital technology to her body there. But overall, that's still a pretty cool image. It did add in the geometric shapes up here, but it just kind of randomly put them in there. I'm not really big on that. And her crown is not giving high tech at all on that fast generation. If we look here at the quality, you'll see it does have the right amount of fingers on her hand. I'm not sure what this is here, but it's glowing, so I assume it's not a finger, but I could remove that if I was worried about that afterwards. I don't like this throne at all. I think this is very strange looking. I'm not into that. The only place that it really added the technology to her skin was here on the arms and a little bit on the legs, but then it put in this kind of like weird charging port on her leg. The outfit is not giving high-tech vibes at all. And it doesn't have the geometric shapes in this one. So not a huge fan of that one. But let's take a look at what the quality image generation did here. And we can see her face is definitely cleared up a little bit. It added in that technology to her skin just on the face. These hands are quite messed up for me. I don't think I'm a big fan of that at all. I do like the glow and the vibrancy of the dress. And we've got a couple of circles back here, which I guess could count as geometric shapes. But all in all, not the background I was looking for or the overall aesthetic at all. So for me on that prompt, I actually think I have to give that one to the fast generation. So for 10 tokens, I think I actually could work more with what happened here in the fast to alter it to be closer to align with my vision. Now, the third one here, prompt was for a sovereign of quantum realms and that she was draped in a gown made of shifting quantum particles, her crown flickering with distant galaxies. The futuristic backdrop, full of fractal landscapes and data streams, is captured in sharp detail, allowing the colors to shift dynamically from deep purple to neon green, blending the organic and digital beauty seamlessly. So if we take a look at the fast generation for this one, we can see that it definitely did tie in the purple and the greens. It's got the fractal movement back here. Unfortunately, though, it's just not clear at all on her. It almost looks like she was just put into the background. These eyes are too blurry. It would definitely need to be upscaled to be used. And I'm not sure that even upscaled, it would come out with the right symmetry to her hands and the look of the image. Overall, I do really like the gown look in here. So it definitely was adhering to that part of the prompt correctly and the background correctly. It just didn't do a good job on her, which again, if I had added in more details on what her physical appearance should be versus just calling her the sovereign of quantum tech, I probably would have gotten a more detailed character. But let's take a look at the quality. So if we look here at the quality, it really didn't add as much of the fractal to the background, but it does have that futuristic glow and it is kind of that like wispy look in the background, like these could be clouds or something like that. It did add in some weird digital screen-like icons in the background, but overall, I think that her dress is beautiful. It's not really giving the quantum particle vibe that I was looking for as much as that first dress did. But overall, I think this is a much better image. This is much more aligned with what I had pictured coming out of that prompt. Her face is pretty clear. If we take a look here, if I were to upscale that in a realistic way, it would definitely add a little bit more definition to her eyes here and her mouth. So that would clear that up. But overall, I think I do like this image a lot. Now here we go on the Ultra for that one though. You'll notice in the background, it pulled in the green and the purple. It does have that fractal swirl to it with a very cosmic kind of feel to the background here. And then her dress is beautifully put together with the particle look. It does look like tons of little pieces of something put together to make her dress. And you can see it coming all the way down her arms. The detail in that is really pretty remarkable when we look at it. For not being upscaled at all, if you look at her face, you can see how clear the eyes, the mouth, the nose really are. The texture of her hair is very realistic. The crown is awesome in this one. So when we're looking at that prompt, I definitely prefer the Ultra on that prompt. I do like the quality. It's a usable image, but I think for already being upscaled as much as it is here, it was definitely worth the 15 additional tokens on that prompt. Okay, so if we look at this next one here, the prompt is for a queen that stands on a tall futuristic balcony Her glowing neon suit radiating against the towering skyscrapes of light, the electric pink and blue and purple neon lights cast a soft glow on her regal features, including a vibrant futuristic portrait of the digital monarch. So I really feel like this image should have a focus on the queen herself as being the primary in the object, with a cool futuristic cityscape behind her. So let's take a look at what we got from those generations. First of all, here we have the fast. So if we take a look again, some problems with the face, but when that is run through the upscaler, that would definitely clear up and wouldn't be an issue there. You can't really tell that she's the monarch in here. There's no crown on her head. Instead, it just kind of like teased up her hair really high. But it does have a cool, like, high-tech outfit on, and it definitely has that purple and blue vibe cityscape to the background. She is on a high-tech kind of balcony there. So overall, for 10 tokens, that's not too bad. The next one on quality here, we can see that this one, honestly, I think is worse than the fast token on this prompt, just because her overall aesthetic just doesn't look that good. Her arm is kind of disappearing into the hair here. There's no hair over here on the side, which you would anticipate when you have that much on there. This building is crooked, like it's in the middle of a free fall. Her hand placement is very odd. You can't see what her hand is up against there. But if we take a look at the quality on this one, for 30 tokens, this came out stunning. I mean, look at the realism on here. You can see the texture of her skin. You can tell in the lips a lot how photorealism really came into play in this image. The texture of her skin, again, it did kind of that weird double collarbone thing here, but I found that that's pretty easy to erase out using the canvas editor. It gave her kind of like a high-tech crown up here. Her outfit definitely gives the digital vibes. She is on the balcony. You can see the purple and blue buildings behind her. A slight problem with the hand here, in just that it does look like she has an extra knuckle or two on the hand. So that could be an issue. So it still would need some work, but I think overall, aesthetically, I definitely do like the Ultra version of that. If I weren't going to use the Ultra, I would probably end up using the Fast and upscaling it, which overall would probably cost me about an extra 30 to 90 tokens, depending on which upscale option I took. Okay, and then we have the next prompt here, which is for a hologram queen in infinite rows of glowing server towers behind her in perfect focus, standing regally in a vast server room that seems to stretch into eternity. The queen's holographic form flickers between digital and physical. The glowing light of the servers reflects her translucent dress, which is made of flowing data streams and shimmering light, creating a scene of technological grandeur. So if we take a look, and this is the last example I'm going to actually go through in detail to show you, but remember, I am giving you access to this guide so that you can go in and you can see the other 5 examples if you would like. But let's take a look. We've got the first fast version here on that one, and you can tell it definitely does look like she is a holographic queen here. Very cool on sort of like the see-through texture, like she really did just appear as a hologram in the middle of this room. You can see all of the high-tech computer stuff behind her. The image is a little blurry and unclear, and it does kind of look like she might be kind of an AI here. But overall, for 10 tokens, that's a good generation. And then if we look at the quality here, the colors are much darker, but the detail on the actual things behind her are a lot better. It did give her more of a human form, but with the holographic look to the dress, the crown, and a little bit here on her face. Although unfortunately her eyes are pretty blurry and this would need to be upscaled. And then on the Ultra, I thought this image came out really well. Still needs a little bit of work before I would feel comfortable putting it out there, as far as in the detail of her face. And cleaning up the background here a little bit, but her overall look of being sort of like a mix between the human queen and the holographic queen really stands out in this image. For 30 tokens, I think that that was well worth it to get an image of that quality. Now, all of those prompts that I just ran all had different camera settings and sort of more detail involved in the beginning of the prompt. I'd like to show you how we can use Ultra, though, to create some great images just based on very basic prompts here. So if we come into the image generation and put in something very simple like beautiful digital queen, comma, high-tech kingdom. So you can see that's a much shorter prompt than what I was just showing you on some of the other demonstrations. And we come over to the prompt enhance and we make sure we turn that on because it is such a small prompt here. I'm going to leave it in the preset of dynamic, and then we're going to generate a couple Ultra versions here. So you can see again for 30 tokens, I'll go ahead and generate that. So if we take a look there at what it gave us compared to the ones that we were just running, we can see that it definitely gave her a much more high-tech background here. Definitely has the tech on her skin for sure. The dress is kind of a combination. And then the glowing kind of blue wires in her hair really give a little bit more there. So overall, that's a pretty good image. Now, if I wanted my prompt to be a little bit more in detail before the prompt enhance came on, one of the options you have in Leonardo is to come over here to the little magic button and you can come down and hit improve prompt. So as long as your prompt is under 200 characters, you're able to use this to make your prompt better. And if you're someone who's not experienced with prompting very much, this is a great tool to go in and use and to kind of see how it styles the prompt so that you can make better prompts in the future as well. So there we go. We've got an increased prompt here now that should produce more of a beautiful digital queen. So let's go ahead and create one of those on the Ultra and see what we get. Okay, very cool. This created a much different image here. So you can see the metallic look to her skin, the circuitry, the glowing, very sleek, modern background here. Very simple, does not take away from her. Very cool generation there. So if I come back over to my personal feed, you'll see I've done a lot of digital queen work this week. That was the project we were working on. So there's quite a few of these in here. But if I come down to where I started using the Ultra generation to produce some images here, and we take a look at it, you can really see the detail that it added in the background here. And I am sharing each of these prompts with you guys over in the Airtable guide as well. So you do have the prompts for these images, but I just wanted to show you some of the detail that was really coming out of the Ultra. So if we look here, I mean, look at that detail. You can actually tell that that's code raining down there. That's pretty remarkable. Beautiful outfit here, keeping her very symmetrical throughout. This one was generated on the Ultra as well. You can see a lot of realism in like the look of her. Even the thighs here, you can tell, have more texture than what you would get from some of the other generators. If you look at this one, especially, I noticed that the code in the waves really stands out. I mean, these are definitely worth 30 tokens in my opinion. I liked this one a lot, kind of gave her that modern edge, but still having some problems here with the hands. I haven't tried to use a negative prompt on the hands for this because I wanted it to be very simple and something that you guys could just go in and put these prompts in and start making some really cool images for yourselves. But I think that putting in a negative prompt for the hands with Ultra would probably be very beneficial, just since I've noticed that I have had a few come out with the hands incorrectly here. If we look at this one, you can really tell it. You can almost feel the texture of her dress there with those sharp, jagged pieces of what looks like glass, and then the rainbow reflections, all of the crystal around her. I mean, for the prompt being as simple as what this prompt was, That is a pretty remarkable image there. Same with this one. I really liked this one. I think this is the one that we will choose to use for the scale. So let's talk about the second part of the Ultra generation here, which is the Ultra Upscaler. So if I come into this image, which I just chose this one, I really like this image. I think it would look better if we upscaled it. It has a couple of issues, like with her mouth here, you can see the teeth kind of a little bit are wonky. Could use a little bit more clarity in the detail, but overall it's a pretty stunning image. So it's got a lot to work with here. So what I can do is I can choose this image. I select it. You'll see down here in the corner, the upscale image. I can go ahead and click that. And now we have the new Ultra Upscaler. So we've always had the alchemy and the crisp, the background remover, all of those kind of things. Again, if you want to know more about any of the other Leonardo features, we cover everything Leonardo in all of the videos that I've put in the playlist in the description of this video. So be sure you check those out. But the new Ultra Upscaler in here has two options. We have a realistic upscaler and then we have an artistic upscaler. So I thought this image would be a great example to show you both of those comparatively. So if we choose artistic first, you'll see you've got your upscale multiplier, which is a slider. We're going to leave that at 2. And then we have this advanced settings here. So this is where we can kind of play with the settings features on the weight that we're giving them, much like with the elements, to determine how we want the image to come out. So you see you have 3 options here. You've got creativity strength, which if we scroll over or hover over this little question mark, we can see that higher values lead to more creativity and lower values keep it closer to the source image. So I like this image. I think I want it to stay similar to how it looks now. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that at 5 for this example so we can check it out. And then the detail contrast, we can see here that higher values emphasize finer details. This is made to adjust the level of the detail in the image. So this is a very detailed image. So I am going to go ahead and bump that one up. I'm going to go to 8 on that one. And then similarity here controls how closely the output matches the original image. Higher values result in greater similarity. So I do want it to be fairly similar to this image, so I'll bump that up to 7. And you can see then that it is going to cost 78 tokens to do this upscale. So normally when I use the universal upscaler, which I'll show you in just a minute, the token cost is 110 to do an image of this size. So still costs quite a bit of tokens, but it is cheaper than doing the universal upscaler. So it will be interesting to see how it compares to that. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this upscale. And then while that's working, we'll come in and we'll do the realistic. We'll do the same settings for the realistic so that it is an apples to apples comparison here. And again, it's going to cost me 78 tokens. So the reason I'm doing this is because the main question I have when using new features like this, especially when they cost so much more in tokens, is it really worth it? So I'm hopeful that by showing you guys what I've found in this and giving you all of these examples, that it will actually save you tokens in the long run because you'll understand better how the system is working and not have to waste tokens. So let's go ahead and do that realistic upscale now. So we've got both of those working. And then while those are working, I'm going to head back to the home screen here and I'm going to come down to the universal upscaler. This is another way that I could access those images. So you can see down here that the Ultra Upscaler artistic and realistic are still working, but I am going to go ahead and grab that image and do a legacy version as well. So I need to come over to my generations and I need to find that image. And you can see, again, this is another way that I could access it. So that 78 token Ultra is here, but I'm going to switch over to Legacy. And you can see that actually instead of 110, it's 180 tokens to upscale this. So that's quite a high cost. I'm hoping to see a big difference. On the creativity strength, I'm going to leave that at 5. And we'll go ahead and upscale that. So now that all 3 versions of that are done upscaling, let's take a look. This first one here is going to be our artistic Ultra Upscaler. So let's, as we move the slider, pay close attention to the detail and the vibrancy of the image. You can definitely tell, especially like on her hand and wrist here, where it does look a lot more like a real person versus the first image as we're going on. So added a lot of clarity to the roses and the butterflies and that kind of stuff. Her face does look definitely more defined and cleared up. I'm not sure if that was a 78 token upscale though, since you can still see kind of the little like weird tooth thing going on here in the middle of her face. Let's go ahead and check this realism one, the second one here that we did. Okay, so for the realistic one, you can see definitely like on the tree, it gave it more of like a bark texture feel there. The flowers definitely are more crisp and bright and realistic looking. Same with the butterflies. You can really see the detail on the wing there. When we look at her, it did bring in a little bit more realism, but honestly, it just kind of did this weird, like, veiny thing it does in the neck sometimes. And it still has that problem in her face with the teeth, so I'll need to erase that if I'm going to lip sync this at all. But you can see overall, very similar to the artistic. So I don't know that it necessarily matters too much on an image like this, whether you choose realistic or artistic. I think I actually prefer the artistic look a little bit more just on like how her actual form looks, her body looks on here. I think I would probably choose artistic on this one. But if we look at the Legacy now, you can see on the Legacy, not only is the background 10 times better. I mean, look at the texture on that tree, even compared to the realism one. Look at the detail on her dress with the glowing lettering, actually being able to tell what that is. You can see a lot more texture on her skin. You can see how beautiful these flowers are over here. And if we look at her mouth, it actually has now given her the teeth and corrected the coloring of her lips. So if we look before versus with this Legacy, so, I mean, 180 tokens, yes, it's a lot when you consider that I ran the artistic and the realistic with the Ultra Upscaler, which was 78 plus 78 for a grand total of 156 versus the 180 token cost that was paid for this Legacy version of the Universal Upscaler. In my opinion, if you're using this in a professional way or in one of your videos or something like that, or you just want a really good image, the Legacy is still the way to go on here. That being said, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people are using these new tools, the Ultra Upscaler. So in a couple of weeks, it may actually stand out as better than the Universal Legacy Upscaler. So it'll be interesting to see when we revisit Leonardo in a few weeks, when they get another update, how it has progressed along in that. It's been about 6 weeks since we did the last Leonardo video, and there have been 2 new elements added. So I do want to cover those quickly here before we move on to showing you some of the motion that is being created in the Leonardo system right now. So if we come into the image generation again, we're going to get rid of this prompt. And you cannot use the elements or the character reference or the image guidance tools at all in Phoenix yet. Hopefully that'll come soon. Leonardo, if you're listening, we would really like for that to come soon. But if we come in and we choose a different one of these presets, so let's go with the albedo here for this example. We can see that there are elements under the image button up here. And when you hit that icon, it brings up all of the elements. So the 2 new ones, we kind of covered Pop Surrealism in the last video. It actually came out the day I was recording that video. So there were a few examples of that, but let's touch on that a little bit more. And then the Dreamy Acrylic here is the new one that was just added, I think last week. So those are the 2 that we'll take a look at right now. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and start with the Pop Surrealism. Best with albedo. So good. We're already in there. So we're set to go there. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And for this, I will just go ahead and put in simply So I'm putting in a very simple prompt of beautiful digital queen, magical high-tech realm, and pop surrealism. You'll notice that I'm using the word of the element because I've found that when I'm playing around and first seeing what the element is capable of, it is best to put that in the prompt to see the best results. So let's change the preset style over here to dynamic. And then we're going to run this on quality. And I need to select the pop surrealism element here. And if you've seen my past videos, you know I always try to run them on 3, 7, and 1 to give you an idea of how it's going to work. So since there is no prompt enhancer over here like there is on Phoenix, it should be adhering to this prompt and kind of using some of its own creative to really fill in the gaps here. So let's go ahead and set that on 3, generate, 7, and 1. And then while that's generating, we'll use the exact same prompt, but instead of pop surrealism, I'm going to change it to Dreamy Acrylic. And I'm going to come in and choose that Dreamy Acrylic element. And we're going to run it on 3, 7, and 1 again. And while those are working, let's take a look at the pop surrealism. So if we look here at the 3, you can see it really has a lot of color, definitely has that pop of the whimsical and realistic world blending together. Like these kind of floating orbs off of the buildings are really unique. Her overall look is very whimsical and story-like. When we come up to the 0.7, you can see it really kind of saturates the color, brings in a lot of that like vibrant pink and yellow and orange kind of hues out. Definitely less so on the magical kingdom in the background, but a lot more on the whimsical here for this 7.7. And then if we go to the 1, you can see it really kind of oversaturates the image at the 1. My sweet spot with a lot of these elements is 0.3. Even when I'm combining them, I found that that is a good level. But we can see here, like the definition, her teeth look really good in here. A lot of detail on the skin. I'm not a huge fan of what's going on here on the like headdress thing that she's wearing, but you definitely get the feel of the pop surrealism art style technique here. And then the Dreamy Acrylic, if we look at 0.3, it is a lot like an acrylic painting. I mean, very soft pastels, very light and airy. You can see the actual brush strokes back here and in the wings, the crown especially. And then if we look at the 0.7, again, a lot of those digital brush marks, almost giving it sort of the texture of a digital or of an acrylic painting in a digital setting. Didn't put her in any sort of a kingdom setting, did more of a portrait acrylic setting on all 3 of these, I noticed. Overall, I do like the 0.7 on this one, though. If I were looking for an image that looked like a painting, I mean, this looks like it would be something on a canvas that you would see. And then the 0.1, you can see it, for some reason, gave us an older queen. A lot more of the brush strokes, a lot more texture. If this is what you're going for, it's perfect. I think I'm not a huge fan of the overall look of this acrylic paint just by itself on here when it's that high up at 1. Let's take one of my enhanced prompts and we're going to combine some of these elements together to show you what's possible. So this one should create a digital monarch who is more on the celestial side of the grid. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to come in and I'm going to choose some elements, and you can see up here at the top, you can choose up to 4 elements together. So I'm going to go with this pop surrealism. I'm going to choose infrared photography. I'm going to choose cosmic retro, and I'm going to choose glow wave. And I'm going to knock all of these down to 0.3 for the pop surrealism. I'm going to go 0.1 because I don't want it to overpower on the pink and purple here on the infrared photography. For the cosmic retro, because this is supposed to be a cosmic image, I'm actually going to take that one up to 4. And then for the glow wave, I just want a slight vibrancy of the glow to come out. So I'm going to go to 0.1 for that. And then we'll generate that. And now let's change out Pop Surrealism for the Dreamy Acrylic. And we'll set that at 0.3. And here we go. This is the Starlit Queen. You can see it definitely looks like she is up in space. There's a moon behind her, sort of like she's floating up there. Beautiful dress. Great overall image with that enhanced prompt there and those elements on with the Pop Surrealism. Here we go with the Dreamy Acrylic. You can see that while the paint feel isn't overpowering, you still definitely get that vibe. If you look closely in the clouds back here, you can see it does look like this was painted with a paintbrush. A lot of detail, a lot of texture going on in this image. Definitely very cool. I think if this were to be upscaled, it would be an awesome image. So let's go ahead and move on and try a couple more elements. Let's do the acrylic together with the Pop Surrealism, and we will set them both on 0.3. And we can see there, definitely has the Pop Surrealism look to it. Bright colors, she's really standing out on the page, beautiful background. So overall, if you look at that being the same prompt for those images being created by just applying those elements together, you can see that there are a lot of options you have when it comes to creating AI art in here. The key is really finding a balance of what works for you and knowing the overall outcome of what you're looking to be your output. Really helps to have an idea going in. Otherwise, you could be creating for hours endlessly. I mean, every time it's going to be something new and exciting and fun to look at. So that's why it's really important to have an idea of what you need to actually come out when you're working with these systems in a manner that you're trying to get some actual content created. Now, for our video that we put together, the AI art project, Digital Queen, we actually used a consistent character to generate the images, and that can be done by using any of the presets other than Leonardo. So let me show you really quick how we created some of the images. First of all, here is the queen that we decided to use for our video. So you can see she has the same look in all of the images. Let me show you how we achieve that really fast before we get into the motion. So if I come into the image generation, and we'll go ahead and just leave the same prompt in that we were just working with. But if I come in up here to the image and I go to character reference, I can choose the character that I want to use. So for the video that we just did, I used this character and I did set it on high. And I do want this to be quality, so I'm going to hit quality here. And we'll see, we should see a similar image to what we've been getting, but with her as the main character. So one of the nice things about this not being able to be used on the Phoenix, even though I think it will make great images when we are able to use it in the Phoenix, is that we can apply elements to our consistent character generation. So let's go ahead and add in the Pop Surrealism and see how close we can get to our consistent character when applying the elements. We'll do it at a 0.3. So here we go with that Digital Queen. We can see the blonde hair, the blue eyes really standing out. Did give her that cosmic background with no elements, beautiful crown. Beautiful little piece here glowing. Still gave her that neck collar look, which is what we were going for by putting in our first base character, having that collar kind of look to her outfit. You can see that here. So it did replicate that very well. When we add the element to it, let's take a look. And then we'll also do the Dreamy Acrylic just so that you can see both of the new elements. Okay, so here we go with the Pop Surrealism. Again, the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the cosmic background, the collared outfit, all carrying over very well. For this being a completely different type of image with the elements applied, still very consistent on the character. You can see the sharp eyebrow here that our first original character had. And then the one with the Dreamy Acrylic, you can see the paintbrush strokes still really coming through in the background especially, but the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the collared look, she's a little bit sharper of a collarbone here. But for this being a digital sort of acrylic painting look, I think overall that's very aesthetically pleasing, so I like that. So now that you've seen how to use the Ultra mode in the generation, you've seen the realistic and the artistic Ultra Upscaler, you've compared that to the Legacy Upscaler with me, and you've used the new elements. Let's hop over and take a look at how Leonardo's motion has really come up in the last few months. So if I come back to my home screen here, I have a couple ways I can get to the motion. I can come up here to motion, I can come over to the toolbar and I can hit motion, or I can go to my personal feed and I can decide which image I want to put the motion on. So let's say, for example, I want to take the image that we just made and I want to apply some motion to that. I can select the image and I can come right here to image to motion. And you see that there is no place to put in a prompt for the motion. So it really is kind of a you get what you get and you don't throw a fit when it comes to motion in Leonardo. But you do have this motion strength applier, which you can see determines the amount of movement added. So let's go ahead and we'll just run this on a couple of settings so that we can see the difference in the motion setting. So let's do a 2, a 4, a 6, and an 8. And we'll let those 4 generate and then we'll compare them. But you can see for our digital creative project, I did use Leonardo to put a lot of the motion on the images. So this is a creative project that was made entirely using images in motion from Leonardo. If I come into the image creation, I can see where those are generating the motion videos. So we've got all 4 of those generating right now. Okay, so here's the 2 setting of the motion. You can see just a little bit of the camera pull here. It's zooming in on the actual character. You get 4 seconds on each generation here. And then here's the 4. So we can see less of the camera movement, more background movement here. So the clouds are moving. The portal seems to be warping a little bit. She is staying stationary though. And then if we come up to the 6, you can see again, the character is stationary, but there is a lot of movement back here on the portal rippling out, the clouds sort of warping through. Leonardo Motion is something that commonly isn't talked about or I think used as much in projects. And I will show you how this compares to a promptless video generation in Runway as well using the same image. But let's take a look at number 8 here. So it kept her stationary and a lot of almost like a gel-like movement to the background here. I actually think that that's really cool for this image, the way the clouds are moving. If I were to choose which one of these 4 settings I like better for this close-up portrait style image here, it would definitely have to be 1 or 4. So either the extremely low with just the camera movement here, or this one up here, which has quite a bit of movement but keeps her stationary. I think for a creative project, I would probably use this one just so that it draws your eyesight attention more to the movement in this one versus the camera movement. But if I wanted to try this in Runway, all I would need to do is come back to the personal feed and download the original image that I used. And just hit get started here. And then I would just bring that asset right on over. Drop it in there. And because I want this to be apples to apples on the comparison, I'm not going to put a prompt in the prompt box here. I'm just going to let it generate, and I am going to knock it down to 5 seconds since we only got a 4-second generation out of Leonardo. And we'll go ahead and generate that. So I'm curious, I would love to know from you guys while this is generating in the comments, if you find these type of videos where we're really analyzing what's going on with the update helpful. Let me know in the comments if you like these kind of videos or if you're just interested in seeing the creative projects or if you have any ideas for future topics that you would like to see us cover. We love hearing and interacting with you guys in the comments. And we also want to make sure that the content we're putting out for you, you're finding helpful and useful. Okay, and here we go. The Runway promptless version is now ready as well. So let's play that. And you can see again, almost the same thing that it did on the Motion 2 setting, and just pulling in the camera and panning into her more closely. I do like this definitely better than the Motion at the point 2. If you look, it just keeps her very clear. The background is still very clear. So if we compare that to setting here versus what we got out of Runway, you can just see Runway is still going to be the better quality, but they are a video generation tool versus Leonardo, which is your AI art creation tool that just has a bonus of having that motion included. So if you think about it, this one cost me 50 tokens in Runway, which the Runway token limit is very small on the basic plan. I think you get like 625 tokens a month or something. So when you consider 50 of them being used for this, that can be quite costly if you're trying to put together a project. But the overall quality is amazing on that. Whereas the Leonardo, I did all 4 of these motion generations that each cost me 25 tokens. So I did all 4 of these for 100, and I had 4 options to choose from. Just something to keep in mind if you are in playing with Leonardo and you do want to put some motion on your images. I'm hopeful that over time they will pour a little bit more into the motion development part of Leonardo, but for right now, I'm happy that they are focusing on the Phoenix model just because it is so far above the other AI art image generators that I've been using when it comes to ultra realistic photo creation, text creation inside of the image there. I mean, Phoenix really is ahead above the others right now. And I love that I have the ability to use all of the different presets and the character to character reference. I mean, it would be very difficult and challenging to get a consistent character this close is what we did here in the Digital Queen in any of the other systems with only using a 1 picture character reference versus setting up our own LoRa model or training our own model on a different system. So I'm very impressed by Leonardo AI. If you are too, and you're creating things, we would love to see them, especially if you use one of our Digital Queen prompts. Be sure that you head over to X and follow us over there so that you can tag us and let us know when you put out creative projects. We would love to see them and share them with our audience as well. So be sure you head over there and check us out on X. But I think we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to cover today. We've talked about the Ultra image generation. We've talked about the Ultra Upscaler. We've talked about the new elements. We've covered the motion. We've compared all of the things that we can compare in this video. So I'm really happy you spent some time with me today, and I appreciate you supporting our channel. So be sure that if you like this video, you give it a like and subscribe to our channel. While you're there, turn on those notifications so that you know every time we release a new video. I hope that this helped you to save some tokens in the long run, and I hope that it got all of your creative juices flowing. Okay, so now that we've covered everything that we wanted to cover in the tutorial part of this video and the comparison, let's go ahead and take a few minutes together to just relax and watch the fully AI created digital project, Digital Queen, which was made using a song that we created in Suno AI and images and motion that were all done in Leonardo AI.
In the heart of the groove, she comes alive. A queen of circuits where codes survive. Her crown is light, her throne is steel. In the digital world, she's all that's real. Through waves of data, her power flows. She reigns where the network grows. A sovereign of tech, she shapes the sky. In the digital ether, she'll never die. She's the queen of the digital realm. Guiding the kingdom of dreams overwhelmed. With every spark, with every line, her reign is eternal by design. Queen of the code, queen of the screen. In the endless void, she reigns serene. Her fingers trace the neon streams. In the realm of dreams, she rules unseen. Every signal bends to her command. where no one's bound. Her kingdom's vast, her power's true. In the world of data, there's nothing she can't do. Through binary winds, she sails alone. In the digital dark, she's carved her throne. The queen of all that's yet to be. In the coded world, she's free. She's the queen of the digital realm, guiding the kingdom of dreams overwhelmed. With every spark, with every line, her reign is eternal by design. Queen of the code, queen of the screen, in the endless void she reigns serene. In the vast expanse where the data streams, she reigns forever in digital dreams. Her legacy grows in the electric sea, the queen of the realm for eternity. In the vast expanse where the data streams, she reigns forever in digital dreams. Her legacy grows in the electric sea, the queen of the realm for eternity. In the vast expanse where the data streams, she reigns forever in digital dreams. Her legacy grows in the electric sea, the queen of the realm for eternity.
My name's Jessica with the Real AI Agents, and as always, keep looking towards the future.